Hey, it's About Town Deb. I'm here with my Sassy Soul Sister, Yvonne Murphy.
Hey, good to see you.
I'm so happy. We have like a 2-part show special.
2-part. It's a big deal.
Because of you, because you're like a pretty big wig.
I'm connected to 2 of the most fabulous gentlemen in Northern Nevada. So we're going to do that today.
But I'm going to let you introduce these 2 fabulous gentlemen.
Well, I have Reese Olander with me, and I have Steve Shell.
And just tell, like, where are they, who are they with?
They're part of my corporate family. We all work together at Renown, and I get the pleasure of working with Reese every day. I see Steve on occasion, and we're going to talk to you today about some very interesting things.
And it's not just today. Remember, we have a 2-week special.
It's a 2-parter.
And we're going to learn a lot about what they are doing in our community and what you can do as to be a part of our community. And also, we're just going to cover lots of tidbits. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Nevada near the silver mines, there's a kind-hearted woman. She's looking so fine, always taking care of her community. Bringing folks together is her cup of tea. She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
And welcome to this week's episode of City Talk. I'm About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy, your host, and I have my amazing co-host Yvonne Murphy by my side.
Love you.
I'm so grateful for you.
Yes.
And this is a special show, guys, because this is like one of the first times we've ever had a show like this where it's going to be a 2-part show. We have Renown Health, the foundation, here with us. Your amazing peeps that you adore, and we'll let you introduce them because every day they make a difference. And we want to show you out there how you can make a difference in your community just by giving back and being a part and volunteering. There's so many things you can do. So I'm going to let you introduce these 2 very eloquent, handsome men.
I'm very happy to share with our community Reese Olander, who's a lovely gentleman that I work with at Renown. He was my introduction to philanthropy. So I have the pleasure of working with him every day, and I consider him family. And then I also have with me today another young man, Steve Shell, who's in charge of our mental health at Renown. So I'm happy to share them with you and to talk about how we can impact the community and just educate people and let them know what's going on at Renown.
And since this is October, this is a pretty special month. It's not only Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's also October is Depression and Mental Health Awareness Month. And we've had a crazy few years, and I don't even want to say the word why we've been crazy, because enough of that. But I feel like it's time where we need to sit back, take a breath, and share and be open about it, because we all go through times when we get a little depressed or we're bummed or we're unhappy, and we think we have to, like me, positive Debbie, I'm always happy. Well, I'm not always happy. And we want to share that. We want to share that you are just like us and we're just like you, and we're going to have those moments. And that's why I'm really glad to have both of them on.
Yes.
Steve and I go back a little bit further, and welcome. How many years have you been in Reno now?
12 years.
Gosh, I remember when you first got here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So you are a huge part of our community now, and your specialty seems to be with the mental health and that kind of stuff. And we need people like you to be out there to help us understand what we need to do and what we need to know. So
I agree.
I'm going to thank our sponsors first, and then we're going to dig deep into philanthropy. Did I say it? Did I get it right? I said it right. Because I have like a Debbie talk going on sometimes. So if you hear it, you'll know I'll say the word wrong. But Crystal Basin Cellars, I'm very grateful. I have a wine label, which we donate a portion back to Northern Nevada Children's Cancer Foundation. And a little teaser here, because you guys will know this person, the William N. Pennington Foundation, during the month of December, usually it's still February, but it's the end of January, they're going to double any donation, whether you donate $1 or 50 cents or $1,000 or $10,000, they're going to be doubling it. So I normally donate $1 a bottle when you go to crystalbasin.com or abouttowndeb.wine, but now that dollar becomes $2. So, and you guys are partnered with them, and it's so cool. So I'm really excited. That makes it even more special that you're here. Yeah. So thank you, Crystal Basin, Surratt Law Practice. Kim has been by my side since the very beginning. Walter Grille, they do a lot for our community, so I'm happy to have them. And of course, Dee Dee James, who wrote the theme song, My Little Perky Song, Caliber Hair and Makeup. And we are right here in Sparks, Nevada at the Musicians Rehearsal Center.
Okay, so we got all that out.
We got all that out.
Take a breath.
Oh, and actually, breathing is a very important part of your health, just so you know. My watch tells me all the time to breathe. And I feel like we all get so excited and we're so like stressed and we're not breathing, and we just think we could just keep doing that, but we can't. You need to surround yourself with people who say, hey, Deb, take a breath. Steve, all of us, Reese, settle down now. So before we even start that part of it, I'd love for each of you to say a little bit about your history at Reno and why is it so important that you are where you're at Renown right now. Let's start with Reese.
Sure. Thanks very much, Deb, for having me
welcome.
here. And, like Yvonne said, we get the pleasure of working together every day, and it's just been an absolute delight. And I'm happy to be here today. I was born and raised here in Reno. Lived here the majority of my life. Moved away about 15 years ago for grad school. Worked my way down to Sacramento and eventually started fundraising for a hospital down there, Sutter Health.
I recognize that name.
I fundraised for a variety of organizations, museums, art organizations, food pantries, social service programs, all sorts of things. But healthcare is pretty powerful thing. And every one of us is going to have to deal and experience a hospital at some point in our lives.
Yes.
Either to start our lives or to end our lives, or probably in between as well. And just the opportunity to work for an organization that is making a difference in the community. And so when I got the opportunity to come back up here to Reno and work at Renown Health, I just jumped at it.
It was a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer.
I'm going home.
It was just a lot of fun. This Renown Health has saved the lives of many of my family members and friends. A couple of those folks would not be here without that hospital. And so the opportunity to work for Northern Nevada's largest locally governed nonprofit hospital is just an opportunity I couldn't turn down. And it's just been phenomenal. Renown Health is doing some amazing things that very few other hospitals in this country are doing. So I've just been really enjoying it.
Okay, well, you know what? You're going to have to hang tight, Steve, because we're going to take our first break. Thank you for Yvonne. She gave me a nudge because she's on top of it today. So hang tight. It's About Town Deb, Yvonne with City Talk. We'll be right back, and we're going to chat with Steve.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk with Deb and Yvonne here. I'm so happy you were here. You brought like two amazing guests. We have Reese
gentlemen that I really adore. So yes,
I'm really grateful.
Yes.
So thank you for being part of all of this. So Steve, we do know you're 12 years. It's been, you said you've been in Reno.
12 years already.
So tell us a little bit about your path and how you ended up in Reno, number one. But it feels like, with Reese, the compassion for being in the nonprofit world and making a difference was a huge part of why you're here.
Absolutely.
So let's hear your story.
So years ago, I had lived on the West Coast in Los Angeles and ended up moving back to Memphis, but I'd always wanted to move back to the West Coast and was very familiar with the Reno community. And so I chose to move here 12 years ago from the state of Florida and actually love it here. I feel like the community and the state have really embraced me and have done quite a bit in the 12 years that I've been here.
Yeah, you can talk a little bit
and
about
still
that.
So much more to do.
Toot your horn a little if you want.
Well, I'm really proud of, the teams I've worked with through the years and what we've accomplished. But over the last 12 years, I've designed and opened Nevada's two newest full-service behavioral health hospitals.
That's a big deal.
That have really helped increase access to mental health and addiction services in our state, both in Las Vegas and in Reno. ago. But about 2 years ago, Stacy Mathewson convinced me to basically jump ship and come to Renown Health and lead the Stacy Mathewson Behavioral Health and Addiction Institute. And I really feel like I'm in the right place now at the right time, because I feel like we have such a broad array of resources and connections at Renown that I feel like we can do even more in the community for mental health and addiction. So that's really why I'm at Renown now, thanks to Stacy and to the team at Renown.
You know, it's interesting how we all end up at the same table.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about years ago, I met Stacy Matheson when she first moved to Reno. And she started her foundation, and she it was just incredible. And she was working with Pat Cashell was doing a radio show, and I was part of his team. And so I met Stacy, and I'm like, wow, how did Reno get so lucky to get this amazing woman with all the vision and her passion to make a difference, you know? So again, that's how it started. And then I met you, and then all of a sudden you're with Stacy, and we have Yvonne here. We were together years back. So I feel like the universe brings you together, and you have to be aware of that. I think you need to be aware of what's in front of you, whether it's positive or negative. You know, you need to know, but today is all positive.
It's all positive. And you know, we've come together in a powerful way. And I think together we're going to do some powerful things. I'm very proud of the vision of Renown. And these two gentlemen are a huge part of that vision and making sure it comes into fruition. So I think we're on a good path, and I feel real excited about the future of our community.
I'm going to let you take over a little bit, because you work side by side, and this is your vision, and this is your segment, and they are here because of you. So
well, thank you so much. So I'd like to engage in some dialogue with Reese, who I work with every day. And I'd like Reese to tell the public more about philanthropy and how it makes an impact in healthcare.
Yeah, happy to. You know, I think the society we live in, philanthropy is a absolutely crucial aspect of that. There's a lot of things that only occur in our day-to-day lives because of the power of philanthropy. You know, it starts when you're young in the classroom and your teacher asks you to bring in, you know, some extra markers and paper. You know, that's philanthropy. That's helping fill a need that otherwise is not met. And it goes all the way to healthcare and finding new pieces of equipment to make sure that our community has the best possible treatment options when they come into the hospital. And so philanthropy comes in many shapes and sizes, from $1 to millions of dollars, from a couple phone calls made to volunteering at your local food bank, to serving on a board of a nonprofit. There are hundreds of nonprofits in this community, all of them doing just amazing, amazing work. And I think that's something to be celebrated and uplifted wherever possible.
So Reese, can you tell us a little bit about, I know having lived here 42 years, many people don't recognize that Renown is a not-for-profit healthcare institution. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I think that really connects to why philanthropy is important. So
yeah, we, you know, Renown Health first opened well over 100 years ago now as a community clinic to help vaccinate Northern Nevadans, and we've sort of grown and expanded over the years since then. Finally becoming a county hospital for many, many years, and in the late 80s we transitioned to become a private, not-for-profit healthcare system. Initially called Washoe Med for many years. Many of my friends and family members were all born at Washoe Med. And then in the mid 2005, 2007, we transitioned to Renown Health, the new brand and name of the hospital system. And so we've been providing care in this community longer than almost any other institution in Northern Nevada, affecting millions and millions of lives over that course. But, you know, now we are the largest locally governed not-for-profit here. A lot of the other not-for-profit healthcare systems have left the area for various reasons over the last few decades, and Renown has remained. And we have really taken it upon ourselves to stay true to that original mission, where we are here to provide care for this community where no other care is being provided. So we are always looking to say, okay, well, where are the gaps in care? How can we leverage our nonprofit status and strategies to address those gaps in care so that our community members get all the care they need right here in Northern Nevada? They don't need to leave the area.
That's fantastic. I'm so proud to work there, and I'm also a patient in Renown. So, it's very likely if you work for Renown, you're also a patient in Renown. And so I'm very proud of the care that we give people and how we treat people. And the foundation side of it is just fantastic. We're led by a very wonderful gentleman. You want to tell them about our great leader, Greg? Yes, tell them about Greg.
Sure. Greg Willitis, he's the Chief Development Officer at the Renown Health Foundation. Just a tremendous gentleman. He's been in philanthropy for decades, advancing up through the ranks and just making an impact wherever he goes. And when he had the opportunity to come here to Northern Nevada, learned a little bit about what Renown Health is doing, what it means to the community. He, just like myself, couldn't resist the opportunity. So it's just been fun to have him here and work under his leadership. Yes. He's really done an amazing job at expanding our culture of philanthropy so that not only everyone at Renown Health is aware of the impact and the power of philanthropy and its role in healthcare, but also that this community is becoming increasingly more aware of that. Yeah. So that's our number one mission, is just to make sure folks understand why it's important to have a not-for-profit hospital and why philanthropy makes that not-for-profit hospital possible.
And Reese, you want to clear up for people. A lot of people hear the word philanthropy and they think, okay, I can't write you a check for $10,000 or $5,000.
That's fine.
And people need to understand that your giving is a gift and we accept it graciously, no matter the gift. Yeah. And so we use that towards the bigger goal. So I think it's important that people know that you can contribute and make a contribution to your community. And it's, based on your ability to give. Yeah. It's not a set number.
Every single dollar that comes to the Renown Health Foundation, 100% of that dollar goes to support patient care.
Okay, I think that's worth repeating that statement again. 100%. 100%. Every dollar.
Every dollar given to the foundation goes to impact patient care.
That's a huge thing, guys, because usually it's a percentage. It doesn't all go. So to be able to be proud and stand tall and say, 100%, that's huge. So thank you. You have a great team who's out there working every day to make a difference and to find those people who do want to share.
Yep. And that's incredible. As Yvonne said, it doesn't matter if that is $1 of donation or $1 million, 10,000, 500, whatever that is. All those dollars make a difference in those patients' lives. And that's, worth celebrating. And we love when that community gives that dollar because now they're part of the family. Right. They're part of the making a difference in their own healthcare.
It's very exciting. It's a very positive thing. And you and I talked about this on our last show, that giving and receiving is both a win-win situation. The giver feels blessed by giving, and then the recipient who is at the other end of that equation, that's also a positive experience as well. So it's psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, it's just a good, positive place to be in where you're making that difference and you're helping someone else. And that's what community is all about. So at Renown, it's all about that. Reese and Greg, I want to say about my coworkers, have put together a great team. We're all completely different. We all bring something different to the table. But as a unit, my grandmother used to say, when you look at your hand, it's just a finger, but when you come together, you can strike a mighty blow. So I think about that when I look at our staff. We're all so completely different, but Greg and Reese sit us down and they give us a vision of what it is we should be doing and how we should be doing it. And then collectively we do a beautiful thing. So I'm very proud of the foundation, everyone that works there, very committed people, passionate about healthcare, passionate about the community. And at the end of the day, it's really a blessing for me to be part of the family. So.
No, I can see the light that shines within you with that. Foundation. And I know that as About Town Deb, when the pandemic, I hate saying that word, I wanted to give back and I wish I could write big checks. So I decided, well, what can I do? So as a social media influencer, I would just, help all the restaurants that needed it. And then I thought, well, I want to do more. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but I had these wristbands. Together we're one heart. And I wanted something. I wanted the workers, the hospitality workers, anybody to know that it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're working and you're there and we love you and we are together with one heart. And I feel like when you talked about your team and all of that, you are all joining together and that's what we need to do as a community. So again, gosh, it's break time again.
It's break time again.
Okay. So Steve, take a breath because we're going to chat with you next.
You're up next.
It's, oh my God, how does that happen?
I don't know.
Oh my,
it's
good stuff.
Thing.
It's a beautiful thing. So it's about to do with City Talk, and Yvonne's here, and we're going to come back and talk to Reese and to Steve and continue the conversation on philanthropy. And also we want, did I say that right?
Well, we like
philanthropy.
You're getting there.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. So hang tight and I will get it right. Be right back.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
You know that's what she said. Come on, let's have some fun with About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk. I'm About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy. Yvonne Murphy is right here by my side.
Sister in the house.
Sister in the house. And we are very honored to have Reese and we have Steve here. And I want to do a quote, and because we're going to switch gears just a little bit, because yes, you guys do so much for so many people, and you've got all the equipment in the hospitals, and you're changing lives and sharing stories. But there's also a lot that we need to do with the mental health. And being October and why we're going to do 2 shows is why Steve, another reason why Steve is here. So I am going to do a quote because I love doing quotes. So here we go.
Quotes.
There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I feel like we're all a light in our own way. And yes, we all have flaws and there's cracks. But you know what? Without those flaws, the light can't get in, and we can't, like, we have to realize that it's us, we're human. And I feel like Renown is taking that and saying, okay, how can we make a difference? Yes, it's the hospital part, we have the foundation, but there's so many people out there that just want somebody to listen. They don't know where to go. They don't even know they have an issue. So I think you guys, thanks to the Stacey Matheson Foundation, it was a big part of her vision. So if you can, share a little bit about that vision and why this is so important, especially this month.
Well, first, I'd just like to say I thank you so much for bringing mental health into the conversation. Yeah. That has not always been the case. I've been working in this field for 30 years, and there is still some stigma around it, but we have made lots of progress over the past couple of decades. But the fact that we're sitting here today and talking about it is a huge step. And I think that's where we have to encourage everyone in the community to start talking about it more. But that's really what was Stacey's vision, was to focus on prevention and intervention and getting people the help that they need in a very timely manner. We still have a lot of people in the community who are struggling, they're really hurting, and they're not getting the help that they need. And we're really working hard to try to encourage them to come forward and to seek services, so that they can get the help they need and lead more productive, stable lives.
Now, it's really, this is kind of it's a good conversation, but I do know I know people personally who've struggled. And I think the first step is for them to realize that they do have that issue. So how do you get that first step? Like when you're like, okay, I totally know they just need a little nudge to go make that appointment. How does that happen?
I want to say something real quick there, because I remember having some issues with grief healing, and I had a dear friend who happens to be my mentor. His name is Dr. Domenico Lapori. He lives in Milan, Italy. And he said to me, Yvonne, it's okay to need help. Yes. It's okay to talk to somebody. And, perfection, and that's the world I play in, is the highest form of self-abuse. And that began the conversation about cognitive behavioral therapy. So can you tell us about some of the services that are offered within your division and different programs that people could participate in for varying degrees of, whatever support that they need?
Oh, yes. I think the community may not realize the vast array of services we have available under the Renown umbrella. So starting with our emergency rooms, I have a team of psychiatric nurses that are on site in the ER 24/7. They serve Renown Regional and Renown South Meadows. So if someone presents in the emergency room with any type of behavioral health issue, not only do they see the ER physician and the ER nurse, they are also seeing a psychiatric nurse who is performing an assessment to figure out what that individual needs, whether it's a child or an adult. But their purpose is to figure out what that individual needs in terms of possible treatment or other resources in the community. In addition to that team in the ER, I also have a team of peer support specialists. That is through a partnership with Track B Exchange, which is another nonprofit in the state. And we partnered with them 12 months ago to provide a team to us 24/7. So if the individual also has addiction issues, they are also seeing a peer support specialist who has that lived experience and can basically talk them through what they're experiencing and help convince them to seek help out in the community.
Which is easier to come from somebody who's a peer than somebody who's, a quote doctor who doesn't really know them. But to have somebody who's gone through it is much easier to say, hey, guy, I've been through this.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference. So how did you connect with, you said what was that?
Track B Exchange
what is that?
Another nonprofit in the state that is focused on addiction prevention and intervention. And they received a very large grant from the state of Nevada to create peer support teams. So I was able to connect with them last year and convince them to actually place a team in our ER at Renown Regional. So it's added another great resource for our community. But in addition to the ER services, I also have a team of psychiatrists and social workers who are working on the medical floor. So if someone is actually admitted into the hospital for whatever reason, whether it's medical or behavioral health, that team can also follow them until discharge. So those are the range of services within the hospitals. Outside of the hospital setting, we have a wide range of outpatient services. So at 85 Kerman, where we have the Stacey Mathewson Behavioral Health and Addiction Institute located, we offer talk therapy, we offer medication management, we offer intensive outpatient programs, which consist of group therapy. We provide medication-assisted treatment for addiction. And then we also provide transcranial magnetic stimulation, otherwise known as TMS.
I've heard of that. I have heard of that. That's pretty intriguing.
It is very cutting edge. It's been around for about 15 years now, although it's becoming more popular. But it is for adults with chronic depression who have been on multiple medications. Nothing seems to have really worked. And so it's a 6-week course of treatment, but we've seen tremendous results already. And we started offering that at Renown about a year ago.
Yeah, I actually know somebody who is doing something similar. I don't know where that was at Renown, but she's off all of her meds right now. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy in a good way to think that you guys have that, taking more and more medicine is just.
It's a good example that not every treatment works for every person.
Right.
And so I think that's something that the Institute does so well is they offer this wide range of services and make sure to say, okay, which one is working for you? Let's try this one instead. And work with that patient and be, it's challenging. It's a little frightening to get into mental health and address those issues. It's a big barrier for a lot of folks. And so I think the staff there do just a phenomenal job at really holding the hands, bringing in those peer support folks.
So I want to ask some questions about talk therapy. What does that
that was my next subject.
That sounds like something from an HBO series. So talk to us about talk therapy.
Well, I will say that a lot of people, when they think that they need mental health or addiction services, they automatically think they either need medications or individual therapy. That's not always the case for everyone. But individual therapy can be very effective. That's where you enter into a one-to-one session with a therapist, whether it be a marriage and family therapist or a licensed clinical social worker. And it's the clinician's responsibility to identify what's going on in that individual's life at that time and help them peel back the layers and drill down on what's causing some of the challenges in that individual's life, and then figure out a treatment plan, figure out what steps that individual needs to be focusing on to become more stable, more productive. Basically focus on coping skills.
Well, coping skills nowadays are even way more important. And I think we just need somebody to give us those, to listen. Really, it's all about listening, not just talking. You guys have somebody there to listen to us and to say, hey, I don't know what's going on in my mind. I'm really struggling. But to have somebody sit across from me and go like, okay, we got you. Just keep talking or not talk or be quiet. It's the right person. Like you said, you need you need to have somebody who really has a huge heart and cares.
I think as we age, it's very likely at some point in your life you're going to need some form of support. I just think that's natural, be it relationship support or support with your children or your own personal fears or phobias, or in my case, most recently, grief. I think there comes a chapter for all of us when you need to reach out and get the help you need. And it's wonderful to hear Steve say that we offer so much for so many different types of people.
No, that's really cool.
I think that's great.
And I think it's important too. I have another example of an acquaintance that I know, and they're having issues with all of it, with just finding a doctor, realizing what is like, is it like, what's wrong? Like to think, what's wrong with me? Well, you just need a little guidance. We need to talk to you, and they don't. And then going back to the foundation part of it, a lot of them don't have the funds, or they say, I don't have any money. I have to have a surgery, or I have to have this. Like, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to ask my family because they're struggling. And to know that there is a foundation where people have been so generous to help fund. So if you do have a situation where you really need that help.
Well, not just the foundation, but I think that's the advantage of having a nonprofit hospital is that, you look at Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates, those continue to go down. Well, the advantage of having a nonprofit hospital there is that we're not sending our profits off to somewhere else. We can direct those profits back into patient care. So not only do you have philanthropy in the community benefiting these patients and making sure they have access to the care they need, but the hospital itself is built and structured to do just that.
And, I think a healthy community is an intelligent community.
That is very true.
So be it physical health or mental health, I think what makes a community strong is the ability to delve into these issues in such a way that you find these positive outcomes and you continue to plant the seeds and foster that consciousness. So I think Renown does a good job at that.
And one thing I forgot to mention is that we recently opened an assessment center at 85 Kerman. So if someone's not quite sure of what type of treatment they may need, they can come to the assessment center, see a social worker who will perform an assessment to determine what that person needs. Because it is tough trying to navigate the mental health and addiction system and not really knowing what the resources are or what level of care.
They can walk in off the street for that, correct?
They can, yes.
That was my next question, because people say I don't have insurance. I don't know where to go, or I had insurance and then, I looked and they just changed to a different hospital or changed. So there's a lot of navigation on just any of us, just knowing how to use your insurance. So is there, do you guys help with that? Like if they come in and say, I don't know if this is covered or where do I go?
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's a big deal too. It's embarrassing just to even ask that question.
Once we determined what options really are best for that person and we talk through that with that individual, we then give a list of resources or we make those connections before they even walk out of our office. And that could be services at Renown or another agency in the community.
Well, that's important that you do that, because seriously, we can tell people a lot of things, but if we don't give them direction when they leave, they haven't really learned a lot.
Absolutely.
So it's time for our final break for this part one. I hope I got that right. And we'll be right back and we'll continue the conversation. It's about time, Deb and Yvonne with City Talk.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
Ready to help from her toes to her head. Just give her a shout. Call About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk. It's Deb and Yvonne.
Hello.
It's Reese and it's Steve. And I'm just going to be really real here right now, guys. So when we were on break, I had to go actually get a phone call because I'm getting furniture taken away and I was all stressed. And here I am with these amazing people being professional and I can't breathe and I'm really stressed. But it worked out. They were very kind and graceful. So I'm having grace with myself right now.
Yes, I
really can't breathe and I'm really embarrassed, humiliated. But this just shows that life is real. And that's why I'm sharing this. Because I want you to realize that I had to make that choice. Do I not have the furniture picked up or what do I do? But this is like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. So I just followed. It's going to be fine. We're family. So I'm just sure it's because you guys are going to experience this moment like I have, and we all experience this. And when you surround yourself with really good people, they help you through it.
Yes.
So thank you for helping me through it. I'm letting you continue the conversation because I need to breathe and have water.
Well, while you're breathing and having water, Steve, I'd like to continue to share some dialogue with you. Tell us more about what Renown is doing in the areas of mental health and visions that you have, and perhaps something that's in your future.
Well, I'm very excited to share a project that Mayor Hillary Sheevy and I have literally been working on for 4 years now.
Fantastic.
And that includes creating a community crisis center for adults, where very similar to an emergency room, but we know the emergency room is not the right setting to be dealing with behavioral health issues. So it was very important to us to create an off-site location where that was more conducive to behavioral health, more of an inviting facility. So that's something that she and I have been working on for literally 4 years, and we hope to have it open in the spring of 2023. So Mayor Sheevy and I met with representatives from the state about 3 years ago, and we were able to identify some space in the state hospital campus off of Galletti Way.
Okay.
And so through a partnership with the state and now Renown Health, we will be launching this 24/7 crisis center in the spring. So any adult in our community who is experiencing any type of behavioral health issue and is not quite certain of where to go can come to the crisis center. We'll have nurses, social workers, psychiatrists, primary care physicians there to help that individual walk through whatever it is they're experiencing. And it will be our job to connect them to whatever resources they need in the community, whether that be Renown or another resource in the community. So I'm very excited that project's coming to fruition. It just shows Mayor Sheevy has a lot of perseverance.
I know
Yes.
she does.
And I've stuck by her side through this, and I'm just really excited that we're now at that point that it's very close to being launched.
You know what else is exciting? When I was growing up, there was a lot of shame around mental health. And now we see it in the news. The royal family was talking about it on yesterday. The older son, William and Kate, were talking about a function. And then Harry and Meghan were talking about it. So, and I guess Selena Gomez is the newest celebrity that has written a book on mental health. So can you share with us just how... we're living in a really special time where something that used to be clouded in shame is now out on the table to be discussed. Talk a little bit about that.
There are so many days when I just, I find it amazing how much mental health is being discussed in our community and around our country. I'm just amazed by that. When I entered this field 30 years ago, it was almost taboo to even talk about mental health and addiction. You just didn't bring it up. There was a lot of shame and a lot of stigma around it. Now, fortunately, we still do have some stigma, but I do see that changing. I think the fact that people are willing to talk about his or her own, challenges and be out in the public about it has really opened up the conversations, just like you're having here today. And I think it's very, very critical we continue to have those conversations.
It's a beautiful dialogue for sure.
I'm in awe right now. I think that is so important. Like I said, there's so many people out there right now who don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And they're too afraid to ask the question or say, I need help. And even to know they need help. Like we don't even know, like there's certain signs. Can you share a little bit about signs?
Well, there are some very key signs that you should be looking for in yourself or your loved ones. If you see someone start to shut himself or herself off from friends and family or routine activities, if they're, talking about hopeless feelings, if they're even talking about suicide or using any type of drug or wanting to use, drugs. Those are some signs that individual needs to receive an assessment and figure out what he or she needs at that moment. But those are some of the key signs. Also, if you're seeing a change in appetite, loss of interest in whatever activities you've typically been involved in, those are some other key signs.
Well, I'm going to ask a really tough question. So if you have a family member or you have a neighbor, an acquaintance, anybody, and they are having signs and saying things like, I just don't want to be here anymore. I can't deal with this. I just want to be gone. what do you say to that? I mean, it's very scary when somebody gives you a comment that's you like, oh my gosh, are they going to do something to themselves?
I think you have to be very confident in what you say to that person. I think you can't be afraid of what you say. And I think the best step is saying, are you okay?
As simple as, are you okay?
I'm here for you. I think extending that olive branch, that hand, can sometimes be the first step in helping that person understand there is an issue and helping them see that they need help.
And you know what's often true? When we think about health, we think about the body. But the truth of the matter is it's a mind, body, spirit connection. So your body could be healthy, but if your mind is not, or you need some sort of help or support, it's necessary to line up all those different modalities in such a way that you create a completed person. So I think most of my life, I've just thought about health in terms of my body, but I've come to know that it's more than just my body.
And I think, the level of support varies a lot from person to person. Some of us may just need, one session of talking with a therapist.
Yes.
Others may need something more interventional.
I
just
agree.
like, you in your own healthcare. Sometimes you might need a Band-Aid. Sometimes you might need to go to the hospital. Mental health is the same way. There's a wide spectrum. And so there's, regardless of where you are, if you're having thoughts of suicide or you're just having anxiety, it is always a good time to reach out and seek some help.
And, I also think in the Renown family, from my perspective, it is my intention that our community receives its care in our community. So I love the vision of Renown to perfect excellence in such a way that, be it mental health or philanthropy or the physical health part of Renown, that we do it in such a way that we keep our community in our community and that we create a level of excellence that allows people to stay here and not have to go off to other regions for their health care. So I'm very proud of an organization that has a vision. Let's do it well, and let's do it in such a way that we keep our community safe within our community.
Well, we are finishing up this segment. If each of you can share what is the best part of what you're doing right now and why is it so important, and how do we get in touch with you? Steve, I'm looking right at Steve.
I have to say, and this is why I've been working in this field for 30 years, the best part of this for me is saving lives. I mean, I absolutely believe in that. That's why I get up and do what I do every day. I've had mental health and addiction issues in my own family, and I see what it can do to someone and to a family. And so I think the fact that we're offering resources and programs for the community, we want people to get help. You don't have to feel alone in this. There is help available. Our number that people can reach out to is 775-982-5419. We also have the new suicide prevention lifeline, 988, which has now replaced 911 for mental health calls.
Just hit 988.
Just hit
somebody will answer.
That's 24/7 if you're in any type of crisis. But the key is to get help, just to reach out and ask for help.
And website, because a lot of people go on Facebook and the website.
We have some resources available at renown.org.
Okay.
So people can check that out, or again, call 775-982-5419, or again, 988.
Okay. Now, Reese, what about you? Like, what's the one thing you want to get across today?
Get involved. Support your local nonprofits, whether it be Renown Health Foundation or others. They're doing some tremendous work here at Renown Health Foundation. We are trying to make it possible for Steve and his team to deliver better and better care with more and more treatment options. And if you want to get involved with that, from a donor perspective, from a volunteer perspective, from a leader perspective, reach out and contact us. I think, I'll repeat again, it doesn't matter if you're giving $1, $1 million, an hour of your time, 2,000 hours of your time. You can make a difference through philanthropy in your community. So if you want to learn more about what we're doing at Renown Health Foundation, renown.org is your best resource there. You can also give us a call at 775-982-5545, and we'll be happy to chat with you.
What about you, Yvonne?
So I am the foundation ambassador, yes. And when Renown hired me, it was my intention to just let it be an extension of my life. So I don't see it as a job. It's what I do every day to make a difference. I consider myself a missionary, someone to just go about the community and educate and love and embrace and support them. And so for me, it's just a proud moment. They truly are my family. I love the work that we do. I'm proud of the work that we do. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what's in our future. I think Renown has a bright future, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Oh, this is all such good stuff. And we want you to join us next week as well, because we're going to continue the conversation. And I always give a shout out to Grandma B, and to Ellie and all my amazing family that's watching down, keeping an eye out for all of us. And I'm going to leave with one more quote. I am not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship.
It's beautiful.
And I feel like we all have a ship to sail.
Yes.
And we're not alone. There's a captain, there's shipmates, there's friends, there's neighbors, there's families, there's Renown, and many other resources out there. So as you are guiding along in your ship this week and next week, please know you are not alone. We are together with one heart, and we are here to help you. So you can reach out to any of us. Renown, you can go to About Town Deb. I'm on many social media platforms. Message me. It's okay. It's between us. I will make sure to get you to where you need to go. And just remember, you're loved, and have grace with yourself.
Have grace.
And we will see you next week. It's About Town Deb, City Talk.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.